Well, hey YouTube. So today I took a chance at protesting against the drug war, mostly marijuana prohibition. I saw the opportunity arise when I was on my way home from work, and I noticed a couple people holding up signs saying end marijuana prohibition, what have you. So hopped in my beach cruiser when I got home and rode on over to where they were protesting. Picked me up a sign, started protesting. All I did was hold the sign for people to read as they were driving by in their cars. Anyway, the interesting thing was the reactions I got from people driving by in their cars. The majority of the people driving by went like this, went like that, and smiled and as they drove by. Some people just shook their head and kept driving, kind of like, ugh, and Some people were a bit ruder than that. One person drove by in her car and shouted, "Fuck you," out her window as she drove by. Looked right at us when she said it. Another older man basically looked at us, glared at us, and gave us the thumbs down sign and kept driving, But for the most part, what I noticed was that the majority of people seemed to support it, so that's awesome. One lady next to me, she had the sign saying end marijuana prohibition. I had the sign up saying marijuana is an herb, not a drug. And then, I don't remember what the other sign said. But, irregardless, almost irregardless again. God damn it, I gotta stop saying that. It's not a fucking word. Now, I said that once in a video, and someone on YouTube just had to correct me on it, because this is apparently English class or something. Whatever. Anyway, regardless, I noticed that the majority of Casper seems to support it, so yeah, I went out there and I said, "Hey, can I stand next to you and support?" And they said, "Yeah, sure." Grabbed me a sign, and all I had to do was hold up my sign in front of me, Well, down there, my "Weed the People" t-shirt as well, and just supporting the cause, basically. And some other people were just like, didn't even notice it, they just kept driving, But one lady stopped and asked for a pamphlet, and then a couple of people stopped and grabbed a pamphlet, so, interesting, So there seems to be a majority of people supporting it, there's awesome. There's going to be a couple of people who don't support it, obviously. But if you don't support it, you don't have to drive by and shout "fuck you" out your car window. That's a bit rude. I'm just saying. Especially because we were standing across the street from the hospital, and there was an event going on there with some live music playing and shit. And it was for a good cause, obviously. And they were playing some good music. A band came by from Colorado to play the event. Ironically enough, marijuana is legal in Colorado, so the timing couldn't have been more perfect, to stand. And they were standing over here on this side of this, like down here, and they were told to move down this way a bit more because apparently the people were saying that we were blocking our event here with your sign. So, okay, so they moved, but down the street a ways, on the sidewalk, I should say. So yeah, I stood out there for like an hour and a half and watched the cars drive by. And a cop even drove by, but didn't stop us because holding up a sign saying legalize weed isn't illegal, is it? No, it's not. And it was interesting to see the majority of the people did support it, obviously, but the ones that didn't, if you don't support it, you don't have to say shit, you just keep driving, shouting "fuck you" out the window, There's, what if there was children at that event behind us, you know what I'm saying? And there was a couple children there, and you're sitting there screaming obscenities out the window. Now, keep in mind, the children and people are all behind us. They don't see what's on the front of our signs here. They're just seeing people hold up signs, and whatever, right? And you're gonna sit there. You're just gonna drive by and sit there in your car and shout obscenities at us like that. Really, we're not harming anybody by protesting with signs. We're just holding up signs. If you don't like our signs, then don't say shit. Just keep driving, And most people did do that, but I did notice a couple people supported us, a couple people didn't. And it was one of those things, it makes you think for a second. That's what I have to say to that lady who shouted "fuck you" off the car. You know, and you would just take it with a grain of salt and be like, you know. And she literally drove by, slowed down, looked out through her window, read our signs, shouted "fuck you," and kept driving. Like, really? That was kind of rude. I mean, you don't have to agree with us on the marijuana policies here, but it doesn't mean you have to be a dick about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, though, that was completely uncalled for. It's just... And then, oh yeah, and here's where this gets even better. The injustice of this drug war knows no end. So I want to play a TYT video for y'all to listen along with me. And I believe I liked the video, so if you want to check it out in my likes, it should be there. But earlier today, let's see. Let's see here. Where is it? Should be. Should be in my history. Aha, here we go. Play the video for you. Well, this is an ad, but we're not going to skip it just because this is an awesome ad. 6 months of training, 14,505 feet of granite. One mission, Mount Whitney. So you might have heard of this, just seen this ad. It's a pretty awesome ad. 13 American heroes came back from the war with injuries and stuff, and they're overcoming those injuries, working together to climb this huge-ass mountain. I think it's pretty awesome myself. So today they made it one step closer. Through soldiers to summits, Wells Fargo supports our veterans by sponsoring their journey to Mount Whitney. Little by little, we can do a lot, because small is huge. Visit wellsfargo.com/stories to find out more. So, there's that ad. Okay, here's the story.
A man in Iowa who has terminal cancer was growing up to 71 marijuana plants in his parents' home. And when a raid happened, authorities discovered those plants and he got arrested. Now, he was prosecuted, and because medicinal marijuana in most cases in Iowa is considered illegal, he was facing a very lengthy prison sentence. In fact, according to reports, Benton McKenzie, that's his name, who's 48 years old, faced at least 3 and as much as 15 years in prison for growing marijuana plants. But a district judge by the name of Henry Latham insisted that he give him probation instead. And it's a 3-year probation sentence, which, you know, some might argue that he got off easy. But keep in mind that he has a very rare form of cancer, and he is using a non-psychoactive component of marijuana in order to treat his illness, right, to basically deal with the pain. I'm about to show you guys a picture that's really, really graphic. And the reason why I'm going to do that is so you understand exactly why he's using the non-psychoactive component of marijuana, okay? His wife released this picture on Facebook. It's very, very difficult to look at. The type of cancer he has leads to severe lesions on his skin, okay? Take a look. So this is what he's dealing with.
And the oil from the plants that he is growing is something that helps this. It's one of the few things that does help it. And they're saying, no, you're not allowed to help those lesions. This is, what kind of state do we have, right? I mean, if I'm that guy, I mean, look, but the state has force, has power, right? First of all, of course I'm going to ignore the state. You're going to tell me not to treat those lesions with one of the few things I have available? Of course I'm going to treat them. This is terminal cancer. Are you nuts? Right? And you tell me about how I'm going to go to jail for 3 to 15 years, going to put me in jail to kill me? For what? Because I wanted to treat my illness? And they say, oh, it's not psychoactive. Dude, what? I mean,
even if it were psychoactive,
I know. If it was psychoactive. Do you know how many drugs I'd be taking if I had terminal cancer, psychoactive and otherwise? I mean, is this freedom? This is freedom?
And the crazy part about this story is when he was, in trial, he was not allowed to talk about his terminal illness as part of his defense, which is absolutely ridiculous, because if you want to paint the picture of someone who's smoking marijuana because they're some sort of junkie and they're a loser and they just want to get high, this is the way to do it, right? You totally take out the very, very legitimate reason why this guy wants to use the medicinal component of the marijuana.
No, I got to give you these two quotes. So there's two components. The first one is about what Latham said, because you might say, look, the judge is a good guy. He knocked it down to probation. He's not going to go to jail. That's good, right? But he added, you're a man with intelligence and passion. I hope you can put your efforts to a more constructive use than to continue to violate the laws of this state.
Yeah, it makes me sick that he said that.
Why don't you deal with those lesions, and then you tell me how you're going to violate or not violate the laws? I don't give a damn about the laws of your stupid-ass state with your stupid-ass laws telling me that I can't treat my disease. It's terminal, dude. It's terminal. You're going to put me in prison? By the way, are you ready for this? 81% of the people of Iowa believe that medical marijuana should be legal. So when I say stupid-ass state, I'm not talking about the people of Iowa. They overwhelmingly agree with us, right? No, I'm talking about the politicians who are like, no, I'm going to be tough. I'm going to be tough on people who have cancer.
It's so stupid. And by the way, when I said at the beginning of the story that medicinal marijuana is illegal in most cases, what I was referring to is epilepsy. Epilepsy is the only thing that they will allow medicinal marijuana for.
In the state of Iowa.
Yes, in the state of Iowa.
Now, that makes no sense either. I'm glad that they're allowing it for epilepsy. Why not allow it for other illness? One of the experts said it's because the epilepsy lobby is stronger in Iowa. This is the state of our democracy. Okay, one last thing is what Anna was alluding to earlier. I want to read the full quote here because it also outraged me. Latham had barred McKenzie, that's the judge, had barred McKenzie, who's the cancer victim, from using any defense that included the claim that he'd grown cannabis for medical necessity. McKenzie had said he was threatened with jail if he talked about his health in court and that he would not be likely to survive a prison sentence.
Amazing.
What kind of insanity is this? So why did you grow the cannabis? The judge won't let me answer it. I mean, what am I? Because I'm a pothead? I mean, how he thinks that will bias the jury. Not letting them know why he's growing the cannabis is what biases the jury.
Absolutely, and the reason why, I mean, think about that. If you don't talk about how you're using it for medicinal reasons, then it's going to seem as though you were growing the plants in order to sell the drug, right? And when it comes to anti-marijuana laws, simple possession is very different from actually selling the drug. You get much harsher penalties for selling it. So 71 plants, people might think, all right, well, we don't know what he's using it for, so he's probably going around selling it maybe to teenagers. And that type of like fearful mentality leads to these ridiculous laws when it comes to marijuana. It drives me absolutely insane.
Look, Ben McKenzie had so much more patience than I would have, and I would have gotten myself in so much trouble because I would have lost it. You're not letting me put on a defense, the defense that is actually true. You're not letting me put it on. And you're telling me I'm about to die, but I can't treat something we know works because you have some moral reasons, and the politicians have these ridiculous moralistic reasons about how I should live my life. Okay, it sounds like we're in Kandahar. Well, the Taliban says you can't use that herb. So there's a fatwa against that herb, and you can't use it. So sad day for you that you're going to die from this disease. I won't even let you present it in court that you're going to die from this disease and you were trying to treat it because the Taliban has issued the fatwa.
Yeah. And it also makes lawmakers look very stupid. Because when you see someone who's that sick and who only gets relief from a non-chemical, natural thing like marijuana, you look like an asshole.
Yeah, and God forbid we should protect the citizens. And the most important thing is to protect the egos of our government officials.
Yeah.
Okay, so 81% of Iowa supports legalization. And that's just one state, mind you. Imagine the entire country here. Okay, so put yourself in this man's shoes for a second. Let's say you had these horrible lesions and this terminal ill cancer, and the only relief you had for this was cannabis oil. And someone came in, found you going your medicine, and decided to arrest you for it, and then, adding insult to injury, said you couldn't use your cancer as a defense as to why you're growing it. I don't know about you, but this drug war is starting to look more and more ridiculous each and every day when stories like that come out. And people are stupid as fuck in the comment section saying that, oh, cannabis doesn't cure cancer, blah, blah, blah. Really? I disagree with you on that. 34 studies. Okay? Let's examine cancer. You can't eat, you can't sleep, you're depressed, and you just blah, okay? Now let's look at the side effects of marijuana. It gives you the munchies. You get your appetite back. It helps you be a little bit happier in life. It also allows you to sleep. And those little things in your body called cannabinoid receptors. Google it. Okay? So, to the people out there today who drove by and were just blatantly rude, you know, yelling obscenities at me and the people I was with for holding up signs, ask yourself this. If you had that cancer, would you use that medicine to make yourself better? And if you're so stubborn on your morals and your principles and you sit there and say, no, I wouldn't, you're a fucking idiot. You suffer horrendous pain just because you're against me. Wow. You know, that's just the kind of crap, you know, and it could be worse. It really could be. But, again, it's food for thought here. This guy wasn't allowed to use his cancer as a defense. What kind of fucked up justice system is this? "81% of Iowa supports it. Let's see, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 90, 91. So you're looking at about 11% of the state doesn't support it, versus the 81% that does support it. Or the, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is that, you know? And that's just Iowa. Okay, imagine the entire country. Something to think about, YouTube. There we go. Interesting thing about my beach cruiser. I'll squeeze the clutch, pedal it, release the clutch. The engine turns on when it's got fuel in it, but there's no throttle. I managed to mess up the throttle a little bit when I was working on it earlier. Or I should say earlier, a couple days ago actually. So if I can get the throttle working properly again, put the right mixture in there, chances are it might run again. You know. But thing of it is though, is BikeBerry actually has YouTube videos that show you how to work on these things. So I don't know. We'll get it running eventually, but right now I have the gas out of it just because it doesn't work. So what's the point of having gas in it? You know. So that's that. But I can still ride it around town just fine. You know, the pedals work at least. But if it's not getting up and going like it did September 6th of 2014, then fucking A, something's wrong. But I'm sure we'll get it figured out eventually. But yeah, that's the kind of crap, man. That's just the thing. 81%. Okay. And do you think for a second if the judge had this disorder, this cancer, or whatever you want to call it, do you think he would choose the cannabis to relieve his pain? And if he did, do you think he'd get arrested for it? No. No. That's the fucked up part of it, too. Is that if anyone who has authority and power gets cancer and decides to relieve their pain with cannabis, they don't get arrested for it. But some regular Joe Schmo down the street has cancer, and the feds catch him with it, and the state's illegal. Well, guess what? You know. But under certain circumstances, it is legal. So what the fuck? This is a similar story in Montana. This guy, in Montana, it is legal to grow for medical use up to 3 plants, but this guy grows over 100 plants. The feds catch him. He has cancer. And, well, you grew past the 3-plant limit, buddy. You're going to jail. What the fuck? Seriously? You know, stories like these make me cringe. It makes me hate the drug war that much more. Okay? And I've gone on this spiel a number of times. In fact, in my last video, I talked about, one of my last videos, I talked about the DEA. Okay? Picture, if you will, the DEA is going into Mexico and giving one cartel information on enemy cartels in exchange for free drugs, just so they can smuggle it across into the United States, all under whatever reason they can, giving it to a guy, and then giving it to another guy, and then giving it to another guy, and then giving it to another guy, and it goes on down the chain to the point where nobody knows where it came from. It's just, all they know is it came from Mexico, it's good shit, whatever, you know. And then, just so they can come in and say, oh look, we found this person with some marijuana that came from Mexico, we're going to arrest them now. Yeah, this is marijuana you fuckers smuggled in, just so you can arrest somebody in this country. Get fucking real, man. That is some serious horseshit, in my opinion. Okay? That is fucking ridiculous, dude. Straight up. Well, anyway, this is KingCobraJFS with another video. And, I thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful evening.